Hey everybody, it's Kate Richbourg, and I posted yesterday some photos of my quilted vinyl that I'm going to be doing a bag out of. This is the Lola Bag by Swoon. I'm finally getting around to making it because I just love the look and love the shape. I thought though that I'd try my hand at quilting some vinyl, and since a few of you posted some questions, I thought I would share some details with you. All right, let's get to it. This is a black pebbled vinyl from Bodio Fabrics. I just love their vinyls, and this pebbled vinyl is really fantastic. On the reverse, what I do to prep it is, and this is just a scrap from a cutaway from this one when I cut out the shape. What I did to prep it was I used Profuse from Wawak. And Profuse is like SF101, similar to other woven interfacings, but I'm a Profuse girl. I love it. It really super sticks. You can see the selvage edges there, but I didn't fuss because, again, I cut it away. The secret to Profuse or to using these fusible interfacings, I think, really effectively is I have a heat press. It's nothing fancy. It's just an old Singer heat press that was made for, pressing clothing, not especially crafts. I also, what I do here when I fuse the Profuse to my vinyl is, of course, I lay my vinyl face down on my pressing surface, which is the pressing surface of the press. I grab the Profuse and I place it fusing side down, smooth side up on the back of my vinyl here. And then the secret to really, really good fuse is I spray it with some water, some mist, just a light misting from a spray bottle. And then I fuse it. I put it on the cotton setting, actually. My steam press doesn't go by degrees, it goes by fabric types. So I put it on cotton and then I fuse it. I also make sure to have a pressing cloth over the top. All of this needs to be covered with a pressing cloth because steam press plus vinyl with no pressing cloth equals disaster. So just make sure everything is covered really well with the pressing cloth and you won't have any trouble. If you're concerned at all, just do a little tester, right? I'm a big fan of testers. So do a little tester, double check your settings on your machine, all that good stuff, and then you'll be good to go. Then what I do after my uh, Profuse is fused to my vinyl, I use the Pellon Style 77, the Flex Foam. I use sew-in, not fuse-in. I don't need to fuse it because all of the quilting really holds it in place. Plus, I feel like the more fusing you have on stuff like this, the more it'll have a chance to wrinkle and buckle. So it's sew-in for me. You decide what works for you. What I did was I just cut out a piece that's going to fit my pattern piece. And what I did was to stabilize it, I stapled it all around the corner. Okay. And I use staples a lot in my bag making. This is a stapler that's just from Amazon. It has really short staples. Can you see that? This is the um, model, what's it say here? Model P3, the boss stitch. Can you see that there? And I use this a lot also if I'm stapling seams together in a bag or stapling a curve together. As long as you keep it out of the seam allowance, you're not going to have any trouble. So that is a real game changer, the stapler for me. And this handheld one like this, it's really easy for me to maneuver with my hands, and it's also very easy for me to see where I'm placing the tip of the stapler. So we have got our Profuse, our vinyl, our Profuse, our Flex Foam. Then what I did, so I would line it up so that the two panels would match. This first panel, what I did was I just went down what I felt was the center, and then I went out from there. But this one, what I need to do is I need to make sure that my lines, that they don't have to line up, right? But I want them not to look too slapdash. So What I did was I put this piece that I've cut out, my first pattern piece, I placed it on my piece of vinyl, and I used this Clover chalk pen to the little chalk wheel to outline it. As long as it stays outlined for the first few that you're doing, you'll be fine. This chalk pen rubs off very easily, which is great. Um, and it'll stick long enough for you to see all of your lines, and then you can just remove it later. So what I did here was with my ruler, I came in and I marked from my center. So I have a good mark here and a good mark here. So I know that this is going to be my center line. Okay. So then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to mark that center line across. This is going to be my first row of stitching. Okay, just like that. Can you see that? It's pretty light, but again, I'll be able to see it as I stitch on it. So that's my first line. Now I'm going to take this to my machine. We're going to stitch it down. We're going to stitch across, and that will be our first quilting line. Now the thread that I use, I also get this from Wawak. This is the Almond Tex 70. I use this in both the top needle and the bobbin. It comes in a billion colors. I love it so much. This is what I do all of my bag making with. Okay, so here we are at my machine. I know that we all have our favorite machines that we love to use for different tasks. This is my bag making machine. It's the Sailrite Ultrafeed LS, the straight stitch. This baby, I'll tell you, I love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. She is a workhorse, and any bag making trick that I've thrown at her, she has picked it up and run with it. So it is a really fantastic machine for bag making. I have it threaded with my Tex 70 thread, and the needle that I'm using, it's a number 20. You can see right here, it's the 135 by 17. It's the number 20 size needle, nice and big and heavy for the vinyl and for this thread. It's a good idea at the beginning of each project to change your needle out, and sometimes I take my own advice and sometimes I don't. So your mileage will vary on that. So I have my top stitching set to a 5mm stitch, and I'm just going to come in and I'm going to start sewing on that line that I've drawn, that chalk line. Now I want to hold my tails out of the way. I'm not going to backstitch because all of this is going to be cut off anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. I got an aftermarket, this is a foot that Sailrite does not carry. This has a split shank, and that split shank is great. It just grabs that thread, and I can easily then pull it to the back. I have the walking foot on the left side of my needle, so I'm lining up this line. It goes straight through the center of that foot, so that's what I line it up with. Again, 5mm top stitch, Tex 70 thread, size 20 needle. Let's go. Keep everything straight as you're going. I've got my left hand here kind of guiding the fabric over here, and I've got my right hand over here kind of guiding the fabric. And there we go. I've made it to my other line, my guideline over here, and let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, so you can see here's my center stitch that I made, and I have nice long tails on both ends. No back stitching, no knotting, because again, this is all going to get cut off. You could, if you wanted to, and I do this I did this on the other one just because it was kind of a pain to have all these tails, but I didn't want the tails to start coming unraveled. I just pulled the tail through to the back. I made an overhand knot here, and then I could really easily just clip that tail away, just like so, like that. And then I didn't have long tails going all over the place. It kept it nice and neat. But you don't have to tie a knot. You don't have to do any of that. You can just clip your threads. Leave a little bit, like maybe a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, so things don't unravel, and you'll be fine. Especially you want to stitch maybe about a 1/2 inch or so beyond the boundary of where you're going to cut your bag. Just so you don't have to worry about this coming unraveled. So now I'm going to do my second and third line of stitching. Since this is my center, now I'm just going to go place my ruler, and however wide you want your stitching to be, it can be an inch, a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, however tight you want those diamonds to be, go ahead and choose what your width is. You also may want to do that on a tester, see what smaller quilting looks like versus larger quilting. You know, you don't have to have tiny rows, you could have big rows, whatever floats your boat on this one, okay? So what I do is I line up the row right here, this line along my stitch line, and now I'm going to go ahead with my chalk pen and again draw that length, okay, all the way down like this. And I go beyond that outline, and you can see there is my second stitch line, and I'm going to go here and do my third line. So I'll line that up, line it up nice and straight here. And let's draw our next one right there. And you don't have to press too hard with this pen, just a nice light touch will roll that out. Now I am ready to continue to stitch. So I'm going to stitch one way down this way on this line, and then I'll go in the opposite direction on the opposite line so that the tension is equalized on either side of the center line. And I'm going to continue this process until I have this whole piece quilted in this direction. Here we are, some of the lines for the opposite direction. And I'll go stitch center line, then to the left, to the right, remark to the left, to the right, until everything is quilted and the diamond pattern emerges. Okay, so here we go. I have stitched around this outline, and the tails of that stitch are right here. So I'm going to come in, tie these all off like so. Now I can come in and cut away just like a scant 1/16 of an inch around the edge of this stitching. Be careful if the staples get in your way. You don't want to clip those. And I'm just going to come in with a nice sharp pair of scissors and clip that away. And I'm going to continue to do that on all sides. There we go. Now let's cut away. Now, I have a little bit of residue from this blue chalk pen that I need to remove. And what I'll do, what I find works really well, is I can just use a little scrap of the foam like this. It has a little bit of a tooth to it here, so I can come in. That'll help me scrub all of this off, just like so. And if you feel like there's still a little bit of residue, but see, look at how much of that came off. These chalk pens come in a white, a yellow, and a blue. I find myself reaching for the blue one most often. I also have these little alcohol prep pads. You want to check on your vinyl, though, first, especially if it's printed vinyl. You don't want anything to take any of the design away. But what I also do is I just run that prep pad with the alcohol, though you could make your own. See, there's a little bit of residue that it continues to take off. You could certainly make your own with a cotton ball and a little dip of rubbing alcohol, but I think it just gets the rest of the residue off. But again, you want to make sure that what you're using is color fast, right? You don't want any of that alcohol to rub off if your vinyl has a pattern. All right, so there you have it, my friends. There are 2 panels of the Lola Bag by Swoon patterns ready to go on to the next step. This is a fun technique to do for a variety of bag patterns. You could do, I don't know, there's all kinds of applications, fun things that you could do with this. So I hope you found this enjoyable. Any questions? Leave them in the comments and hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much, friends. See you next time.